Some moments in life arrive without warning, quiet, ordinary moments that look like nothing from the outside but change everything on the inside. And for Elena Hart, a woman known in the business world as the cold, brilliant, untouchable CEO of Hart Technologies, that moment came 30,000 feet above the ground, somewhere between panic, exhaustion, and a silence she had never felt before. She boarded the flight with a pounding head, a racing mind, and a heart tired of fighting battles no one saw. She didn't even notice the men sitting beside her, the calm-featured single dad in a faded plaid shirt, until the world around her blurred, and she unknowingly drifted into the safest sleep she had experienced in years, resting her head on the shoulder of a complete stranger. If you believe kindness and second chances still matter in this world, then make sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe to Everyday Heroes. Your support helps these stories reach more hearts. Elena Hart had built her empire with grit, endless nights, and sacrifices people romanticized but never understood. She was the woman who didn't break, the woman who didn't pause, the woman who never showed a crack in her armor. But that morning, as she rushed into the airport, she received a call that silently crushed her. The board had questioned her leadership after a major project failure. They wanted answers. They wanted perfection. They wanted her to be more than human. And for the first time in a long time, she didn't know if she could live up to the image she had created. She sat on the plane with a storm inside her, her chest tight, her mind spiraling. She hadn't slept properly in days. She hadn't eaten. She barely breathed. By the time the plane took off, her body simply gave up. She leaned to the right without realizing, her head finding a shoulder that was steady, warm, and comforting in a way that made her heart unclench. The man, Daniel Hayes, a widowed single dad traveling back home with his young daughter seated behind them, didn't flinch, didn't push her away, didn't even shift. Instead, he adjusted slightly so she wouldn't strain her neck. He pulled a thin blanket from his backpack, gently placed it over her, and continued reading a worn-out children's book in his hands, preparing to read to his daughter once the flight settled. He didn't know who she was. He didn't care. He simply saw someone exhausted, someone overwhelmed, someone who needed a moment of quiet the way a drowning person needs air. When Elena finally woke up midway through the flight, she felt warmth she hadn't felt in years, gentle warmth, human warmth. She jerked back, startled and embarrassed, her cheeks flushed with a vulnerability she never showed anyone. She looked at the men beside her, expecting irritation or judgment. Instead, she found soft eyes, a calm face, and a presence so steady it disarmed her completely. Her instinct was to apologize, to rebuild her walls, to pretend she hadn't accidentally allowed herself to be human for a moment. But before she could gather her defenses, she noticed the little girl across the aisle waving at her, wide-eyed, shy, hopeful. Something in that simple gesture made Elena's throat tighten unexpectedly. As the flight continued, Elena found herself observing the two of them quietly. Daniel had the tired hands of someone who worked hard for everything he had, yet the gentle patience of a man who carried his responsibilities with love, not resentment. He checked on his daughter every few minutes, handed her snacks, fixed her seatbelt, smiled at her with a softness that felt almost sacred. And something inside Elena broke and healed at the same time. Watching a father love his child so selflessly reminded her of the childhood she never got to have, the warmth she once wished for, the softness she thought she had outgrown. For the first time in years, Elena felt something shift inside her, something fragile, something hopeful. The plane hit light turbulence, and she instinctively gripped the armrest, her stress returning in a flood. Daniel noticed immediately and placed a steadying hand near hers, not touching, but close enough for her to feel grounded. She didn't know why that simple gesture made her chest loosen. Maybe because no one in her world ever checked if she was okay. Maybe because she was tired of being strong alone. Or maybe because kindness from strangers hits differently, it comes without expectation, without history, without masks. As the flight neared its descent, the world outside looked calm, almost peaceful. Elena felt lighter, as if the storm inside her had finally found a place to rest. Something had changed, not in her circumstances, not in her job, not in her public image, but in her understanding of herself. She realized she didn't need to carry everything alone. She realized strength wasn't about being unbreakable. It was about allowing yourself to lean, just for a moment, on someone else. Even if that someone was a stranger with tired eyes and a quiet heart. When the plane landed, she watched Daniel help his daughter gather her things. He looked at Elena only once, offering a small nod, a silent reassurance that she didn't owe him anything, no explanations, no defenses. Just a nod that said, "You were human. And that's okay." If this story touched your heart even a little, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to Everyday Heroes. Your support helps us keep telling stories that remind the world of compassion. Before you go, tell us in the comments below. Sparkles, do you believe a simple act of kindness can change someone's entire day? Sparkles. And with that, Elena walked off the plane, not as the unshakable CEO the world expected, but as a woman who finally understood that even the strongest people sometimes need a shoulder to rest on. Sometimes, the most powerful moments happen in silence, mid-flight, between two strangers whose hearts needed exactly what the other unknowingly gave.